So today we are Tuesday. I know it might look the same, but it is a different day. Went for a lovely morning walk today. Ow, I think I just stepped in some thistles. So today we had some really juicy structures. Oh my gosh. We had the last thing that we finished with was a structure called the forum. And there was a differentiation between the forum and the circles that Christian had been introducing us to in the Heart IQ community. And the forum, Rachel Rickard introduced to us by saying that it had come out of a community in Berlin, Zeg, I think she said, and then it went over to a community called Tamara, and that it is a community structure for bringing out, I don't have my notes, but bringing out what was present in the community but perhaps not spoken. So the topic of this particular forum, Rachel announced, was interpersonal relationships. So anything between another person here in our community of our facilitator training, we were to bring up. There were a few rules. I like them, that whoever, if it involved somebody else in our circle here, that we would not be looking directly at them. We would name them, but speak about them as if they were in the third person. Bit of rain here. And what's the other thing? They had about 60 seconds, I think. Yeah, 60 seconds of a share to name what the issue was in the name of interpersonal relationships. Name the person if there was one involved, because it might just be naming something that may be positive and good and it didn't involve somebody else, but it did involve the dynamic of interpersonal relationships. And then they would sit down again. And so a few people went and they shared what was on their chest, and maybe there was a grievance with somebody else in our cohort of participants in the field 2024. And then sometimes when they finished their share, sometimes it went over 60 seconds, and then Rachel would invite them to just, before they go back to their place, to just stand there and to take in the eyes of everyone. And as I had mentioned, one of the rules was that if I describe this clear enough, was that say I go up with a grievance, and if I have had a problem with Hector, that I name Hector and what the grievance is, or whatever it is, whatever the interpersonal dynamic. Maybe I'm attracted to Hector. Maybe I find that I can't stop thinking about Hector. But I don't look directly at him. So this eye contact thing, I look into the eyes of everybody else, but I don't look directly at the person I'm bringing in if it comes up. I think that was the main rule. So say I finished and there was a lot active in me, then Rachel had invited the person in the middle to wait and just to stay with us, by keeping eye contact with those around. And by keeping eye contact, one is afforded the opportunity to see how my sharing is landing in the nervous system of the others that are surrounding me and supporting me. And also the second thing, besides staying, grounded in everybody else's gaze, is to also allow a moment to internally track what is happening in my nervous system. So for instance, I might say, well, I feel like actually my throat is kind of choked up, but my heart is now a lot more calm compared to when I began. When I got in the middle, at first, my heart was beating like crazy. I thought it was just going to rip out of my chest. And then after that, they would sit down, and only when they sat down, then she would invite all of us to collectively take a breath with the person who had just gone in the middle. And after that, she would invite, not in everybody's case, because like I said, sometimes it was a kind of a complete gesture all in and of itself. And it didn't require any further, interaction. But if there was more, then she would invite any mirrors in. So today we had already been told what a mirror was, 4 different types of mirrors in this structure of forum. A literal mirror, like mirroring back what they had said, what we perceived. What's another one? I can't think of any. An impact, probably mirror, like how it impacted on us. I can't remember what the other one is, but the last one is in an artistic way. If it's moving through us and then we feel it mirroring back, a sound that it creates in us, or a gesture, or a, some poetry, or so that's fairly obvious enough. I think from the context you can guess what the third one is. I can't think of it right now because my brain is a different place. The whole video thing. So she would invite mirrors in, and after a few mirrors had come up, different people would just go in the middle and just make their offering of how they were impacted by the share. Then we would energetically shake that off, and then the next one, and that went on for a good while. It's very powerful. I could talk about what went on before that, which was quite the opposite kind of an exercise, where we had in 3 people we had, well, I don't really feel like getting into it now because it's so different, and I feel a bit like not fully confident in the integrity of my words being concise and focused. But suffice to say, it was so different. It involved, it was a morning practice led by Michelle. And Michelle led us into, we don't know what it's going to be. Well, I wasn't told what our morning practice was going to be today, only that Michelle was leading it. And it was, okay, I am going to go into it. We were laying down, being with our breath. We were breathing into our bodies, and then focusing into our heart, and then into our abdomen, our belly, and then into our pelvic region, or our root, and then even into our feet and our legs. And regulating our breath, breathing together. And we were all separate. We were laying randomly scattered across the floor. And it was, it was 9 a.m. when this began? Yeah, 9 a.m. And then we put our hands on a place in our body that needed or wanted love or attention or energy from us. And we moved this around, and even this in itself, maybe brought out emotion in some people. Well, I can only speak for myself. But then, yes, surprisingly, it branched out to a person near you. I am just fast forwarding through it. There was other movement and sound stops along the way. But actually, we didn't go to somebody else directly like the way we normally would be in belly to belly, but instead in the normal way that I have experienced belly to belly up till now. But rather, we brought ourselves up to sitting upright, and with our eyes still closed, I think, we connected with 2 other people, not just one. And with the 2 other people, one was chosen to go first. And they described how they would love to be touched. So for some, it meant, I just want to be held, like, I want you to be my mother. Well, this was never said, okay? I'm just plucking a random fantasy example. And I want you to be my grandmother, for example. For somebody else, I want to have my feet held really firmly, and I want to have my neck rubbed, Or for another, I just want you to look at me, at my whole body, and the other person, I want you to hold my head. So this went on for a little bit. I don't know how long it was we each had. Maybe it was 3 minutes, experiencing the touch that we requested from the other 2 people. And it, of course, circulated to all 3 people. And then after this, and then this was really lovely because it in a way, concise. I mean, I appreciate the whole practice, as morning practice traditionally is, from 9 to 10 a.m., took an hour, but it really felt like 5 minutes. So the next step was to bring up two partners. I don't think we shared any feedback about it in a verbal way, but we went up to join the whole group, and Michelle in this case told us what was going to happen. She said, I want you all to come into the center of this room now and have a group cuddle. And now, I don't know about you, but I have been invited into group cuddles before, or a cuddle puddle before, and it really just depends on nothing else but my internal state, how I'm feeling. Even if I feel all loved up, if I still somehow am holding on to a piece of unworthiness or imposter syndrome or whatever it might be, or smallness, or feeling guilt over taking up so much space or time or attention, etc. But yeah, in this case, it felt different, and I think it's because of everything that came before it. So before the morning routine, I had had a long walk on my own as well in the morning, communing and connecting with the nature, and that's always fun, and opens me up. It regulates my nervous system, just connecting wordlessly with nature. So we all came together and we had a group cuddle, and it worked because I feel like because we had just had 3 goes of touching other humans, by the time we got into this big mega group cuddle puddle, it really worked a lot better for me than it ever has in the past worked, because I was already in the zone, in the connection. The circuitry was already connected, so ready to go. And it was after that the other facilitators came in, Rachel, Christian, and David Cates, all ready for the next thing, what the first morning topic was, and that was the forum. No, it was the judgment. It was judgment first. Okay, so I've given you the dessert first here in this vlog, or this live. Not going to be live by the time you watch it, but so actually we first had a judgment exercise or game. Depends how you look at it. So basically we're all in the round, standing up, facing each other in a round circle, and we would single out one other person and say in the framework of this kind of language, Mr. X or whoever, Dahlia, I have a judgment about you. Would you be open to receive it? And they say yes or no. And if they say yes, then we continue by using this sentence framework. I judge you to be the type of person that, and name your judgment then, that is always on your phone and never connecting with real people, even though you say that's all you want to do is to connect with other people. Then you take a breath, and then you continue speaking by saying, you complete your judgment by saying, just like me. So if you're anything like me right now, you're feeling the buzz and the tingle of like, yeah, this is genius. And that's what I felt at the time. It was just so beautiful and complete in that way. And he acknowledged that, yeah, you could manipulate it. This is Christian Pankhurst who brought this exercise out. He said, you could say, Axel, I have a judgment for you. Are you open to receive it? Yes. I judge you to be the type of man that always thinks you're not enough, but in actual fact you know more than the rest of us combined forever. Just like me. So you could manipulate it as well. And so we had this, and after you say your judgment and you say you have your breath and then you say just like me, then they don't respond at all verbally, but you both come into the middle of the ring and you have an ass-slapping contest. So I loved this judgment exercise. It was brilliant also, not just for the entertainment value or the novelty of it, but because after a while it kind of like, okay, we've seen like 26 people slap each other's butts, and there are original combinations, but after a while, but I could appreciate the therapeutic effect it had on the container of our community, and on any community that you'd use it on. If you're ready to go, to that level of transparency and ripping open your heart. I mean, just being, it's going to be in this kind of lightweight way, And when Christian first said, we're going to have judgment is going to be on the table now, after all this touchy-feely morning routine, we were all like, well, I was anyway, moaning and groaning and saying, oh God, not really, really? And so that's what it ended up being. And then from that, we went into the forum. So we got there.